for joining us today. Happy New Year. I think we still can say that, but I hope you had a lovely start to the year and a great 2025 ahead. Thank you for joining us for tonight's session, the Career Toolkit series, with the first one for the year being on goal setting for success. So before we start, I'd like to start with an acknowledgement of country. So in the spirit of reconciliation, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we gather from today and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. So my name's Alana Gretsch. I'm the Partner Success Manager here at ACS. I've been with ACS now for 4 years and look after all the student and graduate engagement around the country and overseas. So hopefully you've seen some comms from me before and reach out if you have any questions about your membership. Now, before we start, we're going to touch on some quick housekeeping. So please note your microphone and camera have been disabled for this presentation, and that one's just for some privacy reasons. So this session is being recorded and will be made available to you in the future on our website, and we will email you and notify you once that's available to watch back. Please use the Q&A function to ask any questions throughout the session, and I will ask them through Gabriela's presentation this evening. If you're unable to access the Q&A function, welcome to use the chat function, but we do ask if you can please try and use the Q&A function if it's there. If you do have any questions that weren't answered during the presentation, or if you're having any issues, please email acsstudent@acs.org.au and Mark will be in touch to solve them for you. Now, please note a post-event email will be circulated in the next few days with Gabriela's information, as well as some wonderful recommendations she's going to include in her presentation tonight and details on some upcoming events that we have planned out. We will submit your CPD points after the event, so please note, give us about 2 weeks to complete. We often do get them done within the week anyway, but note that they'll be organised for you automatically. To receive them, though, you do need to attend the whole event. So if you do drop off or only want to attend for 5 minutes, unfortunately, you won't qualify for those points, but you will have access to the recording. If you do have any issues or questions regarding CPD points, again, feel free to contact us at acsstudent@acs.org.au. So I'd like to introduce the wonderful Gabriela. She's the Information Security Principal Advisor at the Queensland Fire Department. She has a wonderful bio that can be found on the event page, but how I know Gabriela is she's a wonderful career changer who's really moved some mountains with cybersecurity. So she's really empowered women in tech, but also the cybersecurity industry, and really got a lot of resources and activities and events that support them. So she's really someone wonderful that we're very lucky to have here with us tonight, but also a great connection to have in your on LinkedIn and everything too. So thank you, Gabriela, for joining us this evening. Over to you.
Thanks, Alana, and thank you for the warm introduction. That's really lovely to hear. I think I've struggled myself with a little bit of imposter syndrome. So every time when I hear such a stellar introduction, I feel humble and I get a goosebump. So thank you. All right. I would like to firstly invite all our attendees this evening or this morning, depending where you're dialing from, to participate to our poll. Information is not going to be retained, identified with your email, rather than we want to know who is our audience. So it'd be great to find out if you're a woman or a man or a non-binary, or you rather not answer, to understand a little bit the audience. Also, we will ask a question where you're dialing from, which region. I have a couple of naughty jokes about the regions in Australia, so maybe not to not to offend an overwhelmingly present, say, from Queensland, which is my favorite state and where we are calling from this evening. And also we will ask you, what is your first language, whether it's English or any other language, just to understand a little bit your current struggles, or maybe your to the minimum cultural background. So thank you very much for this. All right, so Alana, I'll leave this for now.
Yeah.
On the slide. on the screen would be great also for everyone calling to know who are their colleagues or peers for tonight. And yeah, go Queensland.
Well, New South Wales is now taking the lead.
Yeah, and hello everybody. Good afternoon. I'm so thrilled to be speaking to members of the Australian Computer Society, especially the students or recent graduates and industry shifters who are about to embark or continue their journey into the tech world. Today we will discuss on how to best prepare for the year ahead. It's already February, so time is flying fast. We will focus on personal growth, effective planning, and mental well-being, which is so important, especially in the tech world. We are dealing with technology, complex technology issues and technology, and sometimes we forget about our own selves. And now the title or the topic, the title of today's discussion is Embrace Growth and Harness Passion. This is the best way I can help you prepare for a successful year. All right. And
so it does look like we're mostly joined by international students today with some wonderful languages from around the world. So thank you everyone for completing the questions. And Gabriela, welcome to share your screen with your slides.
Wonderful. And yeah, look, we might have forgot the Victorian state. With absolutely no disrespect to Victorians. Alana, and for full disclosure, Alana indulged me on the very last minute to run this poll. So if you are from Victoria and we haven't mentioned it, please put it in the chat so we'll know if you have presence. But yeah, go Victoria.
Sorry, Victoria.
Right. Wonderful. Thank you very much. So we'll dive a little bit into the agenda. The purpose of the session today, like I mentioned, is to equip you with practical tools and strategies for time management. Remember this, setting achievable goals and maintaining mental wellness to inspire you to pursue your passions even when challenges arise, and there'll be many. A new year always holds so much promise. We make this New Year resolution. This is really and truly a chance to pause and reset and get intentional about what truly matters to you. This year, I want to help you approach your career with clarity, purpose, and excitement. So make 2025 different. This year can be the one where you give yourself permission to dream boldly, like I do, plan wisely, and I do that every day, and take meaningful steps toward the career and life you truly desire. And this is ongoing. You have on the screen, for those that can access, the agenda for today. And I'll start with a little bit about myself. Today's session is about you. But I think it's important to understand, like my origins, but also my professional background. So, and I have quite a complicated name, so I'll pronounce that for you. Gabriela Guiu-Sorsa, and I usually do a joke when I introduce myself to in a professional setting, particularly. As sometimes for English speakers, for first language English speakers, it's hard to pronounce. So when I say my name is Gabriela Guiu-Sorsa, and I would like you to call me Gabriela, so that I don't hear all sorts of derivatives of my name, and I help with the pronunciation. And just in case you haven't noticed, this exotic accent comes from Transylvania, a region in the heart of Romania, which is in Eastern Europe. And I promise you, I'm a distant relative of Count Dracula, and my bite became a cyber bite. And obviously, this joke would have never had actually the flavor if I was outside of a tech environment. I have experience with implementing information security management systems for those that perhaps study cybersecurity, also called ISMS, cyber incident management, and business resilience components. And My background, my professional background actually comes from travel and maritime. And during my maritime experience, one of the many roles, in one of my many roles, I was assisting with the coordination and execution of large-scale security exercises for passenger vessels. And that included also medevacs, so just to give you a bit of a hint on the intensity of previous roles. Now, this is in a nutshell what my life was 6 years at sea and 2 more acting as a land operation manager during my maritime. And I absolutely loved that job. I absolutely loved it. And I thought that I'm going to retire. I was very good at what I was doing. I was traveling around the world. That's where actually I met my now husband. You'll see him pictured on your top left screen, perhaps, or top right. But during COVID, like many others, probably some in the call as well, during COVID, the pandemic, I lost my life and ended up working in aged care, an experience that has impacted my life forever. I now get an understanding of the end of life and the opportunities I have at this age and taking advantage of my health and dreams, and that is not too late to change paths. Now I'm honored to be considered a community champion propelling our profession forward. And I aim to champion talent, guiding those that they want to reach their potential. And that's why you're here tonight, instead of being maybe having a wine with a friend, and you're attending this wonderful webinar that Mark and Alana, or Alana and Mark, have put together for us. And most importantly, remembering what drew me here, a relentless ambition to make a real difference in cybersecurity. Now, and you'll hear me a lot talking about discomfort and stepping outside of your comfort zone. What if I told you that the biggest breakthroughs in your career will come from the moments that make you the most uncomfortable? Let that idea sink in. Imagine looking back a year from now on, feeling proud of how far you've come, the opportunities that you've seized, and the growth that you have achieved. That starts today. In this session, I will share strategies and mindset shifts that will help you overcome challenges, take control of your journey, and step into the future that you envision for yourself. So thank you for showing up for yourself today, and let's begin. Right. I now work as a cybersecurity advisor. My role is information security principal advisor for government, for Queensland government. But this is not what I've been doing all my life. Like I mentioned, I was working in the maritime before I was working in a travel. But before joining the cybersecurity forces, I was a victim of a sophisticated cyber attack where I've lost all my life savings. And this is how my security journey commenced. What seemed to be at the beginning of personal crisis that actually led to a professional revelation. And this is why I mentioned find growth in the most uncomfortable situation. This cyber breach that wiped all my life savings actually propelled me into a quest for knowledge and understanding, transforming what was looking like a setback into a pivotal career shift. I had this burning desire, after seeing all my money gone, to understand the how and the why behind that breach. Well, guess what? That process equipped me with unexpected skills, laying the groundwork for my future in cybersecurity. After traveling the world on cruise ships, where I met my supportive husband, I settled in Australia. So I mentioned about my COVID-19 pandemic struck, where there's been a widespread of redundancy, including mine. So this, another loss of mine, right? This actually redirected me towards a new path. Ever since, I say every rejection is a redirection. When you get a no or something reroutes you from what you think is your path, think about what is the reason why you're being redirected. What is there in the unknown? Well, during the COVID, in the face of unemployment, I decided to reskill. I thought I had all the time in the world and go back to school. So I've enrolled in a security management course, followed by a certificate for computer forensics and incident response with TAFE for those attendees that they are dialing from Australia. Fortunately, these courses now they are free to students. For me, it was quite a change and an impact as I lost my job to actually had to pay those courses and stack them in some sort of financial plans. Well, with that rigorous curriculum, now that is access to for free to all students, imagine this was not just an education, but it was an actual empowerment. While I was a student, right, at TAFE, my husband and I attended a professional networking event. I'm an undercover shy person, feeling uncomfortable, and amid a crowd of unfamiliar faces in that professional networking event, my husband encouraged me to push myself to engage and meet new people. Oh my God, that was the most terrifying thing for me. Left in the middle of tens of unknown people to go and mingle. There's no bigger fear, or there was no bigger fear, because this has changed, than to be left to mingle. Well, that's where I met at that professional networking event, a professional working in a cybersecurity space who suggested I should explore governance, risk, and compliance, or GRC. Till this day, he is my mentor and friend, and we help together hundreds of other professionals in their growth journey that they have experienced either rejection or a lack of support in such a complex industry. How this advice planted the seed for a career shift from maritime to cyber? Well, first of all, I wouldn't be here where I am today without people that took the time to guide me, helping me unpack the unknowns or the known unknowns. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for mentors that helped me see possibilities I haven't even considered. And you can't ask those questions if you don't meet those people. Every conversation, every shared experience, hearing those stories have shaped my confidence and skills, because I've learned from them that their struggles or past struggles is also my struggle. Learning from those ahead of me gave me clarity on my own path. For example, what do I need to study to become as successful as they are? I've learned also that success is not a solo journey. Collaboration opens doors you never knew existed. Now I pay it forward because I know firsthand how powerful mentorship can be. So networking, it's not just about finding opportunities. It's about building relationships that can transform your perspective and open those doors for you that you have never even imagined that they were there. That one conversation at the event, the professional networking event I mentioned before, was a catalyst to where I am today. So please take the moment and step outside of your comfort zone. Even if networking feels intimidating, the connections you make can be life-changing. I mentioned about the professional that I met. His name is Brad. And today, actually in a couple of weeks, I have the great honor to present a cybersecurity incident response alongside him. And I reflect at the journey 4 years ago when I stepped into cybersecurity, when I've asked him, what shall I do? I've just started cybersecurity study. I have no idea where to go. And here we are 4 years later, just patting myself on the back and just screaming inside of me of excitement that I actually made it that far. And yeah, embrace unexpected opportunities. Sometimes the best career advice or direction comes from the most unexpected places. Value mentorship and collaboration. Seek out and foster those relationships where you can both learn and contribute. When you don't dare to ask someone to mentor you, please consider this. When you receive mentoring, they also are mentored back. It's a two-way conversation, and it's a two-way growth. Stay open to growth. Your career journey might take you to surprising turns, but those detours, remember I mentioned every rejection is a redirection. Those detours often lead to the most fulfilling paths. Now, very important, I'll mention a concept that it's in Japanese culture that is very close to my heart, and it's about the ikigai, finding your sweet spot. Very important. When you chase money alone, can leave you feeling stuck, because tech industry, it's lucrative. But when you do work, or you do that work that excites you, everything shifts. Passion always fuels energy. It keeps you going even when things get tough, and they do get tough. I saw that there's a lot of people attending tonight that English is not their first language. So I would imagine they came from a different place, a different country. Things already got tough. So searching for your job or maybe a career opportunity to step up in your leadership role, it will get tough. So find what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs. For me, it was cybersecurity, because I got hacked and I knew that there were other people in the same shoes like me, because we were attending all sorts of police meetings and etc. And there were others in the same shoes or the same boat with me. So that's ikigai, your sweet spot. Align your values. Take a moment and ask yourself, what kind of work actually excites me? What problems do I love solving? Use these values to guide career decisions and choosing paths and projects that truly resonate with you. And then think about meaningful progress. When your work aligns with your values, it's more than a job. It's fulfilling, meaningful, and something you're really proud to wake up for. So never chase the money. Ooh, I love a good slide and visuals. Now, one of the most important things tonight, and ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in the room, take a pen and write it down. Create a vision board. There's nothing more magical than the power of visualization and manifesting. And for those that they may not believe me, I was a non-believer myself. Actually, this was one of my beautiful husband's brilliant ideas, to actually put it on a board so you can see it. He came back from a Facebook market or something like that with a second-hand used board. I said, Gabriela, this is it. Start writing it down. A vision board is like a roadmap for your future. It helps you understand where you're going and keeps you focused on what matters. It can be a physical board like mine. I point to mine because it's just right behind me. A physical board, I believe in a physical board, so I can actually feel it when I write it down. But it may be you're more digital, so a Pinterest or Trello or simple notes in an app, whatever works for you. And you can even stick pictures. My magic is around writing notes around it. And I'll give you a little bit of a nugget into my life. When I was still a student studying cybersecurity, never even dreamed that I'm actually going to be successful or even land my first role. I wrote down my ideal salary, how much I did mention never chase the money, but for me it was, okay, one day I'm going to be successful and how much money am I going to earn, right? And I wrote down that salary that looked outrageous, absolutely outrageous. And I still have it on the board 4 years later. And it's a constant reminder on how do you tackle and how important or how powerful is a vision board and how you're manifesting. I'm laughing because I was a non-believer, remember? So here's what you can add on your vision board. Start with your career goals. Where do you want to be in 1, 3, or 5 years? Write down your learning goals. I have on my vision board the courses, the skills, and certifications that I want to gain. What are your money goals? Do you want to invest, save, or paying off debt? Happiness goals. What makes you feel fulfilled? Do you want to do that trip in Eastern Europe to Romania? Do you want to maybe go to a concert you have never seen them? Next, books to read, personal growth, industry insights, or just for fun, anything. Mindfulness and balance, meditation, journaling, or just time for yourself. Write down your priorities. What matters most to you right now? Health and fitness. They say mente sana in corpore sano. For those that they learn at school, Latin language means healthy mind in a healthy body. Stay strong, energized, and feel good. And again, I'll pause here for a second and talking about journaling and like speaking out loud. This morning I did a bike ride, so I ride push bike. And Mondays are my lowest energy. Imagine like many after a relaxing weekend, and intense job. Today I still feel energized and incentivized to keep riding that push bike. I have a static job where I have to sit down a lot at the desk. This helps me to stay strong, energized, and feel good, but also helps my brain to problem solve. Now, moving with your vision board, break down your plan, because a dream without a plan is just a wish. Let's turn those dreams into something real. So set clear milestones, because a goal without a deadline, it's very easy to push aside. You keep postponing it. Break it down. So big goals can feel overwhelming. So focus on small, manageable steps. And I'll talk a little bit also about how maybe to educate and help read some of the books that I read that I found are very impactful. And you'll thank me later. I actually want you to promise, once you have completed the books that I recommend, to come back to me, whether you email me or you message me on LinkedIn or you email Elena and Mark and tell me how that go for you. Now, consistency and review. So your vision board, it's not just something to look at once and forget. So make it part of your routine. Start checking your progress. Are you moving towards your goals? Adjust as needed. Sometimes priorities change and that's okay. I change my mind very often. Yeah, and then keep simple, clear, and effective. Make it visible. The more you see it, the more you stay on track. It's your personal engagement. So
I might jump in.
Yeah.
Gabriela, what was when you first started cybersecurity, what was your goal? Like, did you have a vision of where you saw yourself, or were you like excited to see where it took you, or do you remember a milestone that you've reached that you've been like, wow, I did it?
Yeah, well, at the beginning when I started, that's a great question, Alana, thank you. And it's so great to reminisce at those times. At the beginning when I started studying in cybersecurity, I was just, and I'll use a maritime word, a ship, just struggling through the waves. I didn't really have a vision. My whole instinct was just survival, right? Learn, get into a job that no one has control over, that I'm not going to be made redundant, maybe something that is very niche, so I can feel that I'm back in control of my life and my work or my professional development. As I was advancing the first few months in cybersecurity, and it was so overwhelming and so technical, and I have never worked in IT, and how in the world am I going to do this? And I had meltdowns. That's when my husband introduced me the vision board. And I started first with, like topics that I wanted to learn, that they were overwhelming. And one of them was identity management. Then there was, about policies and privacy. And as I was consistently and persistently learning new topics at school, I would have ticked the box, and I would have constantly having meltdowns. And then I think one day my husband just told me, you know what, I think it's time to go back to your vision board. That's why I mentioned, don't just let it sit over there. Go and constantly check. And when I looked over and I saw in my vision board that actually there's so much I have achieved, it stopped me from melting down, but also realization that I actually had a path, and actually I'm going somewhere, and my career is going somewhere, and my learning opportunities are going somewhere. So by the end of, like my tick the box exercise on my vision board, I actually ended up in a very niche and particular space, and that was it. I knew exactly from there. It was like a lighthouse for seafarers from long distance. It guided me, and it guides me till today. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, that's brilliant. I think it's really important what you were saying of that your goal doesn't always have to be, like, it can be, but it doesn't always have to be focused on, a job title or mental health or or money. It can be, a fitness goal that also contributes to your career unconsciously. Like, I think it's healthy to have, a different range. I know when I was doing university, my one goal was to I was more living in a regional area. My goal was to work in a city building, and that was the goal. So it can, it's good to have that vision board and have different representation of what success looks to you.
Absolutely, totally resonate, Alana, with what you said. And just to add on top of that, the cherry, because I mentioned about the bicycle ride. At the time when I started with my vision board, I had on a vision board a big goal to actually, and for those that are in Brisbane, maybe they know the hill just next to the Felons. It's a very steep hill that's very hard to bike ride. And that was on my vision board to actually, like push bike it from the bottom to up. And it was so hard. And I think it took me over a month and almost every day chipping away at it. What you would ask, what is the connection of that bike ride with your career? Well, when I've actually made it to the top and I've realized my power and like the strength and the determination to conquer that hill, I've asked myself, what else can I do? At the same time, I was building a healthy body, and it made me stronger and made me be a bit more resilient, and also more disciplined, I think.
Yeah.
And that's why I keep riding bike even today.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, look, there's a question in the chat about how I started my cybersecurity journey in Australia and a story after graduation. Well, as it happens, and during this time, and thank you very much. I see only the Mohammed Maged. Thank you very much for the question. One of the best things that happened to me during the studies was the fact that I was one of the very, very few women attending that course. There was actually 4 women in about 100 students, and 2 of them dropped. Part of that study group, that class that we were studying, and we were supposed to do a communal project, half were English first language, the other half was not. And there was a lot of diversity, like neurodiversity, all neurospiciness that you can imagine. So we were struggling. It was one teacher, too many students. We didn't have the attention. Women and the non-English or the students that English wasn't their first language. ended up a bit maybe unattended. So we started forming a little bit of a group of ourselves and started asking questions. So what after the study? What are we going to do? Well, when I remember the story at the beginning, when I said that I met a professional at a networking event, one of the many questions that I've asked Brad is, because he made so much sense and had so much impact, I've asked Brad, would you like to come and talk to my colleague students at TAFE about what you do and open maybe other paths of conversation? And he said yes, to my surprise. So I said, okay, I'll organize then a workshop in person. Then, because he said yes, and then I went to another networking event, and I met another cybersecurity professional. And that person, I've asked her, would you like to come and talk to my students, my colleagues, on career pathways and, like what you can study to become a cybersecurity practitioner? And she said yes. So I had two people, and so on and so on. In a matter of weeks, I had actually 8 speakers. I had to actually spread them across 2 days. And I've literally organized a career festival at TAFE in class. And I remember the first day when it ran. So I had my colleagues volunteering as well, supporting me, bringing lollies, water, setting up the classrooms, welcoming all the speakers in class. Some of the teachers were there that they were supportive of the initiative. And when I kicked off and I introduced everyone, it came out of my brain, welcome everyone. And I've introduced the speakers to my colleagues. These are the cybersecurity champions of tomorrow. And it kind of remained that way. So this initiative, 4 years later, has 19 countries present. We are supporting other cybersecurity students or practitioners that they want to step up in the role. It's 4 years later, 2,200 plus of us so far and counting. A lot of mentors like Brad or the other lady that I mentioned before and many, many others. When I finished and graduated TAFE, to my surprise, I also got an award. And the award was Student of the Year. For me, it was so overwhelming. From coming in from a non-technical background, then they asked me, to speak on a stage. It was overwhelming, the public speaking. One thing clicked in me, and that's why I'm here today. And it's it wasn't in a plan to talk about this, but I think it's just fitting right well. When I shared my story in my graduation speech, I talked about my struggles and how I lost my job, how I lost my life savings before losing my job, and how important it is for me to become from a victim a defender and start working in cybersecurity. When I stepped off the stage, I had so many of the students that I have never met before. They just came and said hello and handshake me, and they told me, that my story resonated so much with them, and it's so impactful. And that's when it sinked in that actually, when you share your story and your struggles with others, you're actually creating opening an opportunity world for everyone. We all, if we share our communal stories, you'll see that we all have a communal denominator, whether it's lack of support, maybe lack of courage to do your next step, or maybe English not being your first language, your fear of speaking up, your accent, your race, your color, your gender, your hair, anything. So, and this is why it's so important, a community, and this is so great that Australian Computer Society is organizing these webinars and keeping this community alive to actually find out that we have so much in common. So yes.
That's wonderful. Yeah, we've got some great students who've actually started reading the book on screen. So yeah, we'd love to hear more about the book and the skill set and how we can help with goal setting.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, with the Atomic Habits, this happened when I was working in aged care, and at the same time, I was studying Cert 4 in cybersecurity and in security management. So I had, I think, running a 16-hour day, and I felt completely overwhelmed. At the same time, I was tentativing this vision board. So Atomic Habits really changed everything for me. And these are my key takeaways. Yours, after you read the book, it might be different. 1% better every day. So instead of trying to overhaul my life overnight, I focused on small wins. And like my husband says, chipping away, reading one extra page, reviewing one more concept or definition, taking short breaks to reset. Then another thing that was very, very important, and that's another key takeaway from this book, is the habit stacking. I made studying easier by attaching it to things I was already doing. Reviewing notes with my morning coffees, or I learned, for example, Python coding for 15 minutes before checking my phone. Another or third key takeaway, environment truly matters. I set myself up for success by keeping my space organized. And even now, in front of my computer, because we are dialing in from my home, my desk is extremely organized, very tidy, study materials within reach and distractions out of sight. I pause my phone notifications and cancel my Netflix subscription. Yes, you got that right. I would have ironed my husband's shirts on a Sunday in front of the TV and watch a YouTube cyber training with my favorite cyber influencer. And you know what? It wasn't about working harder. It was just working smarter. And those small shifts made all the difference for me. So my conclusion regarding the Atomic Habits was just don't think about working harder rather than working smarter. And for those that may have a job and they may consider, for to their career advancement rather than finding a job, I would apply definitely the same principles in work as well. All right. So keen to hear your impressions on the Atomic Habits. Plus, the author has such an inspirational story. Now, second book that has impacted my professional career and also stuck with me. It's called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. When I first grabbed this concept, I went all in. I had a vision board in my office and at home. Some of my colleagues actually laughed at me. I didn't care. In this book, and I'll let you discover, there is also a quadrant of priorities, and I had that at work when I was working in HK just behind me. And every time when one of my colleagues would have popped their head in, and I would have said, "What is this about?" I would have asked, like qualifying questions. What is this about? And then I would have looked at my quadrant. I said, "Okay, this can wait. This is important, but it's not priority." And now until I've learned, and now it's that board quadrant, it's in my head. So some of the key takeaways after reading the book and applying it in my life: be proactive, control what you can, your attitude, your effort, and your daily habits. Begin with the end in mind. Know where you're going. Picture your career and the goals, then work backwards to map the steps from A to Z. Put first things first. Prioritize what actually moves you forward. Don't not just what feels urgent. This way you'll also avoid distractions. Sharpen the saw. Never stop learning. Stay curious, grow your skills, and take care of yourself physically and mentally. These principles really helped me to stay on track when things felt overwhelming, and they did, and they still do. So every time, now and then, I keep revisiting some of the book's principle. I have notes taken, and that helps me to understand what do I need to do next. All right, we are 10 minutes to 7 o'clock. If you're sitting down, I would invite you to stand up and wiggle your hands and feet. Yeah, so your body can feel that you're still there. All right, and also your blood circulation will be helped, so your body will thank you later. And stick with us for another 10 minutes. I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation about time management, and this is one of my strengths or my core skills. And some of them might call them soft skills. I call them actually critical skills. I have them on my resume. I talk about it all the time. So I talk the talk, I walk the walk. Make goals that work for you, showing up for yourself. So start with SMART goals. Get clear on what you want. Example, instead of saying, I need to study more, say, I'll practice Python for 30 minutes daily and finish the project by the end of the semester. Be simple, specific, and doable. Next, time blocking, right? Time management. Don't just find time to study in your head. Actually, make it happen, schedule it. Block out time like a meeting you can't skip. Use Google Calendar, Trello, whatever works for you. I have it at work, I have it in my personal life. I study all the time and I have time blocked in my calendar. Next, Pareto principle. Some of you might be familiar with this already, some will not. It's the 80-20 rule. Not everything deserves the same energy, exactly like a piece of cake. Figure out the 20% of your work that brings 80% of the results and doable down on that, right? Double down on that. Balance and breaks. Pushing towards exhaustion is not going to make you productive. You're going to be exhausted. So take short breaks, reset, and come back stronger. Walk away from your computer if you want to study on a computer, or walk away from that book and give yourself the time. I find very useful when I need a break and I'm working from home, particularly to actually step outside in the garden, bare feet and grounding, and I walk on my bare foot in the grass, and that I feel like that helps me and also ties me to the nature and resets me very quickly. All right, and I have actually a gift for you. It's something that I've tailored together with these slides. It's a career plan. Something very, very to start from somewhere. So let's talk about your 2025 goals. What you see on the screen, Alana and Mark and their team are going to share it at the end of the presentation, whenever time is right. I have this draft career plan for you. And you don't need to print screen it or write it down. You'll have it in your inbox. So this is not just about setting goals. It's about getting clear on what you want, and making a plan to get there. So top 3 career goals. What's on your list for 2025? Think about it. Is it a new job? Is it a promotion? Yes. A major project? Or a school project? Key achievements. By the end of the year, what do you want to look back on and feel proud? The one big goal. If you just had to pick up one goal to focus on, what would that be and why? Personal brand, maybe. How do you want people to see you? What skills or reputation or online presence do you need to build? You may want to engage with mentors or sponsors. Who is in your corner? Who do you need to network with? Who can guide you and advocate for you? What do you need? What is non-negotiable for your success? It could be a better sleep, setting boundaries, learning how to say no, prioritizing mental health. What are your obstacles to overcome? Be honest. Do a self-introspection. What is likely to get in your way? How will you tackle it? Have a contingency plan. Professional development. What courses or workshops or webinars or certifications will help you level up this year? Cut down the noise, all the unnecessary things that you don't need for your professional development, and synthesize what do you need most. Take a moment, write this down, and the more specific you are, the better you plan is going to look like. When you think studying is hard, the best of all this, for me, my studies and efforts have paid off. I used to apply for tens and even hundreds of jobs. I remember one particular year when I have applied and I counted it 300 jobs. I just needed a job. I couldn't find anything. I was new to the country with a funny accent. Now I can pick and choose the next adventure, my next dream role. I have a 100% success rate in my job applications. I apply for 5 jobs, I get 5 interviews. But it took 4 years to get to that, if not more. Now, before you walk away, picture this. 1 year from now on, you are thriving in your dream role, celebrating real wins. You made it happen. So let's turn that vision into a reality, because your next move is all yours. I can't wait to see where it takes you. So thank you very much for having me here, for listening to my rant for almost an hour. I have put on the screen also a QR code, which will take you straight to my LinkedIn profile, but Alana and Mark will share that with you as well. And yeah, I think, Alana, we still have time for some questions.
Yes.
And hand over to you.
We sure do. We've got some great questions coming through. So do you have tips to stay focused on your goals and not get distracted by everything else in life?
It's very hard. I am self-diagnosing with a bit of neurospiciness, and I get distracted by all sorts of things. I think it's important when you set your goals to actually speak also with someone, so it actually you commit to it. So share your plan with someone that would hold you accountable for, and then start working towards it. Sometimes you'll be derailed, and sometimes it's okay for a week just not to touch it. Just don't make it an exception and another exception. And you'll see if you haven't read yet the Atomic Habits. In one of the chapters in the Atomic Habits talks about don't make twice the same exception. Meaning, like if you're okay to skip one time to go to gym, and then you have to go the next time. It's the same with your career approach. You have to show up for yourself. So be conscious that everything you do, it's for no one else than yourself.
No, that's wonderful. And this one kind of is similar a little bit because there's so many new technologies coming out and so much information. What is the right mindset to accept new and unknown technologies? Like, how do you not get overwhelmed by them?
Oh, very important. And actually, you know what? I'll throw in also cybersecurity concepts. One of the things that I do before I adopt a new technology, I research a lot. I hear from other users. I go into all sorts of forums, and I read the reviews. I'm very, very conscious. Like you would be, if you can imagine this, I work in cybersecurity and IT specifically, and yet I am technology minimum, right? And only what is actually giving me support, uplifts, like my daily task, but doesn't distract me. So, and I would admit I also use social media. LinkedIn for me is my first goal because, like I'm looking at a professional side of it, but also I have a set time on my phone, 1 hour maximum in a week to actually sit on Instagram. I don't have anything else on my phone. And the same, like in terms of technology that I work with. For example, I was studying Python, and there were so many platforms to help me code. Before I actually installed that, I think it was PyCharm at the time, I actually looked and I searched a lot. I think information is power, but also be mindful when you actually install an application, is it legit? So do your due diligence. Make sure you don't become victim of a phishing attack, or you download malicious software on your phone or on your computer. look and you know, like once you start networking, if you go outside of your comfort zone, I appreciate, you know, maybe like Queensland, remote areas or Northern Territory, you may not have the opportunity to network, but there is so many forums, public forums you can ask. Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Now, we have had quite a few cybersecurity relevant questions coming through. What I'll recommend to those people is in the post-event email, we'll be sharing Gabriela's LinkedIn information. So we really recommend knowing that audience covers all different types of technologies. If you're interested in those cybersecurity particular ones, reaching out to Gabriela directly. Thank you so much, Gabriela, for your time and contribution to this topic. We've really appreciated it. And yeah, thank you for being part of our Toolkit series. We really value it.
And thank you, Alana, for your support and for the invitation and for graciously facilitating also the questions.
No problem at all. Now, before everyone heads off, we're going to quickly touch on a few upcoming initiatives that you can be part of. So we've got our ACS Emerging Professional Community. So when Gabriela was talking about earlier, the importance of community, importance of networking, importance of finding a mentor. In each state around the country, we have what we call our emerging professional community groups. So those are private LinkedIn groups just for ACS members. And the idea is you'll be the first to hear about upcoming in-person and online events, be the first to hear about some volunteering opportunities, how you can participate in initiatives with the branches, and more. So we'll be popping links to each group in the post-event email tomorrow, and welcome you to join those groups. Now, we've got some great member benefits tailored for our student or members. So if you're looking to kind of upskill or add some certifications and learnings to your year ahead, we've got these great range of discounts here. What to particularly mention is you've got Zenva there. So if you're interested in more like AI, programming, game creation, it's really fun, that one there. Lumify's got some great ones. Global Futures Education. So if you are interested in climate change and climate focused technologies, that's a really great one. You've got Dynamic there as well. And to touch on Pearson, if you are purchasing any online books, business books, tech-specific ones, you actually get 20% off Pearson. So it's for over 600 different resources. So feel free to check that one out. We'll also be posting about this one in all the LinkedIn groups in the coming weeks as well. As mentioned earlier, we've got the ACS Learning Accelerator. Now, this one hosts over 35,000 short courses and certifications. So if you do want to kind of maximize your time, as Gabriela touched on there, where you're on the train, traveling home, on the bus, on your lunch break, you can actually watch these bite-sized learnings and really help build up your professional development. The great part about this is it also populates a badge that you can feature on your LinkedIn profile and also on your resume. Now, we've got our next Career Toolkit series webinar coming up just next week. So this one will be touched on the introduction of soft skills. So what are soft skills? Why are they so important? And how do you utilize them and practice them in the workplace? This is a really important topic, as a lot of industry, when they're recruiting, are saying it's great to have your degree or your studies, but they're also looking for the soft skills and how you can fit in with your teammates, service your clients and everything and more. So don't miss this session. It'll be a really great discussion. So feel free to follow us on social media. We've got Facebook, LinkedIn and Instagram, where we'll post all upcoming events and initiatives and more. But thank you again for joining us. Please take a moment to complete the survey so we can make sure we can shape more events like this in the future. And thank you again to Gabriela and Mark and everyone for joining us today. And have a great evening. Thank you. Bye.